Welcome to DEMOCREPUBLIX, where we cover the real news that matter to we the people. Wanted to get a little quick headlines in today while I'm in between sessions right now. Let's see. Let's put on my patented lights. Let's see. It's been a long day. But like I said, I wanted to get some quick headlines in. Try to do an hour. We'll see. Alright, there we go. Alright. Let's see what we got going on around the world. The Gateway Pundit top stories. Dr. Kelly Ward, the Democrats deceptively named for the people, named the People Act is not for the people. That's totally true. That's what I've been saying from the beginning. All right. The Arizona Republican Party and Chairwoman Dr. Kelly Ward released another amazing update on voting rights in America. Democrats in the Senate are attempting to pass the For the Incumbent Act, but luckily Republican senators have stood their ground so far. I'm surprised. The know-nothing Republicans, do-nothing Republicans, I should say. Dr. Kelly Ward said, hello, Arizona. It is time for the daily update from the Republican Party of Arizona. I'm your chairwoman, Dr. Kelly Ward. Once again, Democrats are showing how their thirst for power is their main objective. Just recently, radical Democrats forced a procedural vote on a Senate bill, the deceptively named For the People Act. This bill, which would be more aptly named For the Incumbents Act, is nothing more than a federal power grab of election procedures across the country, but they will need to get 60 votes in the United States Senate in order to pass. And like I was saying from the beginning, this bill is basically to federalize the elections and give the power to the state, which is ran currently by the Democrats. So that's why Kelly is saying it should be called For the Incumbents Act. And they're not going to get 60 votes in the Senate, thank goodness. Every Republican would lose their job if they vote for that bill. Since there should be no way 10 Republicans vote for this sham, it will ultimately require an override of the filibuster rule, which the Democrats have also been pushing for. Although they haven't been able to destroy the filibuster, that does not stop radical liberal groups from running ads against those who haven't yielded to their demands. These ads accuse them of supporting Jim Crow. How ridiculous. While Democrats call it For the People Act. How do the people really feel about this attempt to eliminate election integrity at the state level? A recent Mammoth poll has some interesting numbers, and I went over that yesterday. 80% of American people support requiring a photo ID to vote. In order to vote, 91% of Republicans, 87% of independents, and even 62% of Democrats support photo ID. Which I'm surprised by those numbers, to be honest with you, but I'm happy by those numbers. Because who in their right mind don't want to ID someone before they vote? Because that means you could pretty much bring in anyone, because they're not going to check their ID to vote for whoever they want. This is a way to steal votes. It's plain and simple as that. Maybe Democrats should spend more time listening to we the people rather than trying to tell the people what to do. It might just be too much to hope for. We will continue to keep you updated on America's audit and on other important issues. And remember, here at the Republican Party of Arizona, is always America first. I'll see you next time, she said. And I agree with her. She's absolutely right that this is federal government takeover at state elections is what it is. Let's see. All right. You don't need nuclear weapons to take on the government. Biden said Second Amendment has always allowed for a limit on type of weapons that can be owned. They love taking away rights. They love taking away rights. The majority of Americans don't want their Second Amendment trampled on. Biden. Let me see this. Let's play this video. Even though it's gonna enrage me, I can't. I mean, oh, they don't have the video. It's a good thing. I don't need to be enraged right before my next session. Oh, it is a video. Okay, here we go. Let's see.
Own them. And I might add, the Second Amendment from the day it was passed limited the type of people who could own a gun and what type of weapon you could own. You couldn't buy a cannon. Those who say the blood of patriots, you know, and all this stuff about how we're going to have to move against the government. Well, the Tree of Liberty is not water with the blood of patriots. What's happened is that there never been, if you wanted to think you need to have weapons to take on the government, you need F-15s and maybe some nuclear weapons. The point is that there's always been
not true
the ability to rationally limit the type of weapon that can be owned and who can own it. The last time we had to own them.
China is wanting us to disarm because they know they're afraid of us right now. They can't storm the beaches or anything like that because of the over 300 million weapons that's out there Americans have to defend themselves. You don't need F-16. So if that's the case, why are they making such a hubbub about January 6th then? If you need F-16s and all this other stuff. He's full of crap. He's just trying to take away our rights. It has nothing to do with gun violence or any of that other stuff, because if it was, he'd be changing his policies. Unhinged chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff Mark A. Milley goes off during testimony, blames white rage for January 6th, brags about reading Marx and Lenin. I told you guys, I knew it. I knew this guy was a socialist. I knew this guy was a socialist. A Marxist. I said it when Trump first put him in there. I knew something was up with this guy, and he's talking about he's not political and all of this. I told you guys about Billy. Let's watch this video. I knew this guy was a Marxist.
Sure. First of all, on the issue of critical race theory, etc., I'll obviously have to get much smarter on whatever the theory is. But I do think it's important, actually, for those of us in uniform to be open-minded and be widely read. And the United States Military Academy...
It has nothing to do with being open. CRT has nothing to do with being open-minded, nothing to do with being well-read. It's totally false. It's teaching black people that they're victims, and it's teaching white people that they're all racist and oppressors. That's what CRT is, Millie.
Is a university. And it is important that we train and we understand. And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want
white rage. This is straight up Marxism. It's just they're replacing class. They're replacing the class crash. What am I trying to say? The class crash. Whatever. They're trying to replace class identity with us using identity politics and stuff like that. That's what CRT is about. It's replacing class with race. That's what I'm trying to say. CRT replaces class with class warfare with racial warfare, and that's what this is teaching. It's trying to get black people all upset and wanting to fight the government, to take down the government because they want to replace it with Marxism. That's what this is about.
I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out. I want to maintain an open mind here, and I do want to analyze it. It's important that we understand that, because our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians, they come from the American people. So it is important that the leaders, now and in the future, do understand it. I've read Mao Zedong. I've read Karl Marx. I've read Lenin. That doesn't make me a communist. So what is wrong with understanding, having some situational understanding about the country for which we are here to defend? And I personally find it offensive that we are accusing the United States military, our general officers, our commissioned, non-commissioned officers, of being, quote, woke or something else because we're studying some theories that are out there. That was started at Harvard Law School years ago, and it proposed that there were laws in the United States, antebellum laws prior to the Civil War, that led to a power differential with African Americans that were 3/4 of a human being when this country was formed. And then we had a Civil War and Emancipation Proclamation to change it. And we brought it up to the Civil Rights Act in 1964. It took another 100 years to change that. So look at,
See, he don't know what he's talking about. The whole 3/4 of a human being, 3/4 of a human being was a compromise because the Democrats wanted to count their slaves in a census, so they can have more representation. So the compromise was Republicans was like, we're not going to give you we're not going to make your slave a whole person for votes. We'll give you 3/4. That's what the whole 3/4 was about. And all the other stuff that they're pushing is just false.
No. And
This is what happened when you don't know history, when you don't know facts, and you read critical race theory that teaches false history and false facts. You come up and sound ignorant like General Milley.
I respect your service, and you and I are both Green Berets, but I want to know. And it matters to our military and the discipline and cohesion of this military. And I thank you for the opportunity to make a comment on that.
Thank you, General.
Oh my gosh. It's sickening, man. Alright, let's see. Joe Biden confused by his teleprompter. Jumbles name of Baton Rouge police chief. Letter Q posted to John McAfee's Instagram account hours after his death. What? I didn't even know McAfee died. Wow. Wow. Alright, Letter Q posted to John McAfee's Instagram account hours after his death. It says, John McAfee was found dead in a Spanish prison cell on Wednesday, but the letter Q was posted to his Instagram account hours after his death. McAfee's wife, Janice, is believed to have posted to his account for him while he was in prison, but it is currently unclear who has access or posted the cryptic Q. There was no caption or explanation with the photo. The death of the 76-year-old outspoken political activist and antivirus software pioneer is currently being reported as a suicide. However, he has frequently claimed that if he dies by suicide, and I've listened to many interviews where he talked about this, dies by suicide, it was the government. Early in the day, Spain's national court approved a request for his extradition back to the U.S. McAfee even got a tattoo in 2019 reading "Whacked." Wow, I didn't know he died. Oh man. It says, I am content in here. I have friends. The food is good. All is well. Know that if I hang myself, a la Epstein, it will be no fault of mine. McAfee was arrested by Spanish authorities on October 3rd, 2020 at the El Prat airport. He was wanted by U.S. government for owing millions of dollars in taxes. Zero Hedge reported that earlier this month, McAfee argued in a video link hearing that charges against him are politically motivated and that he would die in prison if he was returned to the U.S. If convicted, he is facing 30 years in prison. Wow. So I don't know. I got no evidence or anything that he didn't commit suicide, but I would definitely look into it. Alright, let's see. Let's check out Zero Hedge. The Great Reset is here, part 1. The new blueprint for worldwide inflation. Let's see. You know, I've been talking about inflation for months now. Alright, The Great Reset is here, part 1. The new blueprint for worldwide inflation. Let's see. I'll go over this really quick. For years, currency analysis, myself included, have looked for signs of international monetary reset that would diminish the dollar's role as the leading reserve currency and replace it with the substitute. which would be agreed upon at the Bretton Woods-style monetary conference. You know, I read years ago about Russia. What was it? The Russia, China, Brazil. There was a few other countries that was working on a substitute for the dollar already. So it's already been in the works. But at the recent G7 summit in the UK, G7 leaders gave their blessing to $100 billion allocation of IMF special drawing rights, SDR, to help lower income countries address the COVID-19 crisis. President Biden fully supports the idea. The White House issued the following statement. The United States and our G7 partners are actively considering a global effort to multiply the impact of the proposed special drawing rights allocated to the countries most in need. At potentially up to $100 billion in size, the proposed effort would further support health needs, including vaccinations. You know, just printing more money and handing it out to everybody. So inflation grows. Every week I go to the grocery store. Every week my grocery bill gets more and more expensive for less stuff that I get. A separate press release from the same day continued the same sentiment, stating, quote, "We strongly support the effort to recycle SDRs to further support health needs." In another development, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said last Wednesday that she expected the fund's governors to approve a $650 billion allocation of SDRs in mid-August. What exactly are SDRs? Basically, they're world money. So it's just basically printing more money. That's all. And you know, the United States, that billions, $100 billion, I guarantee the majority of it is going to come from the United States, on the taxpayer, I should say. In 1969, the IMF created the SDR, possibly to serve as a source of liquidity and alternative to the dollar. In 1971, the dollar did devalue relative to gold and other major currencies. SDRs were issued by the IMF from 1970 to 1981. None were issued after 1981 until 2009 during the global financial crisis. So if they're gonna, so basically this is saying that they issue these monies when the dollar is weak to help prop up some countries and stuff like that. And the last time it was issued was in 2009. So remember the 2008 housing crisis when the bubble burst. So that's when they brought out the SDRs. And then in the 70s through 81, that was, you know, Jimmy Carter and all them during the Carter years and all that, when the economy was jacked up, gas prices skyrocket. That's when they brought out the SDRs. So they're planning basically planning another financial crisis. It's gonna happen. The bubble's gonna burst. And I think when that bubble, I'm ready for that bubble to burst. When that bubble bursts, that's when the cryptocurrencies, I think, is gonna jump up. So if y'all selling crypto right now, because the price has been dropping. I mean, I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that, but if I'm holding, that's all I can say. I'm holding strong. Because when that bubble bursts, a lot of people gonna be left holding the bag, and crypto is gonna go up. But in 1971, the dollar did devalue relatively to gold. Major currencies, SDR, were issued. Oh yeah, I read that part already. The 2009 issuance was a case of the IMF testing the plumbing of the system to make sure it worked properly. And I love the words they use, plumbing. And you know, the Federal Reserve have a plunge protection team that if the stock market drops too low, they shut everything down. I love the words they use. Because zero SDRs were issued from 1981 to 2009, the IMF wanted to rehearse the governance, computational, and legal processes for issuing SDRs. All right. So that's it. That's all I'm gonna read about SDRs. So this is basically talking about SDRs getting it ready because they think the bubble is gonna burst soon. And this is what happened when the United States print money out of thin air with nothing backing it and just handing it out to people. You get inflation and a devaluation of the dollar. Fully vaccinated Israelis may be forced to quarantine after exposure to Delta variant. But wait a minute, they got the jab, so why do they need to quarantine? Industry icons saying housing hyperinflation. So we might see another 2008 crisis, housing crisis, because the prices of housing going up. You got what's the name of that? What's the name of that hedge fund? BlackRock buying up all the real estate. Something is about to pop off. Apple Daily closes, becoming first casualty of new Hong Kong security law. Critical race theory may violate Civil Rights Act, the Constitution. Dr. Carol Swain. That sounds interesting. All right. Critical race theory may violate Civil Rights Act, the Constitution. Dr. Carol Swain said. Critical race theory training, which pressures people not to say certain things, take certain stances, or forces them into some segregated setting, may infringe on people's constitutional rights and even violate civil rights law, said Dr. Carol Swain, a former professor of political science and law at Princeton and Vanderbilt universities. The main tenet of critical race theory. I'm gonna save this one because this is a good article. I might have to reference it when I write. I'm writing some stuff on critical race theory. But the main tenets of critical race theory is that people of the world are divided into oppressors and oppressed. That's what I've been saying from the very beginning. That's what I've been saying from the very beginning. If you're black, you're automatically oppressed, and if you're white, you're automatically an oppressor. And in the United States, all white people are considered oppressors who benefit from underserved advantages, Swain told the Epoch Times in an interview on Epoch TV Crossroads program. Now, haven't I been saying that from the beginning? Whites are deemed guilty of having set up a system of systematic racism, said one of the main assumptions being drawn from CRT. Quote, demonization of one group of people because of color and their skin is something that is discriminatory. That is true. And they're basically teaching racism. I try to tell you that Democrats are the real racists. They are literally teaching kids that your skin color is what matters, not the character, not your character, content of your character, like Martin Luther King said. They are totally going against Martin Luther King. They are the real racists. A lot of white people who are focused on CRT-based training and forced to confess to being racist because of their race do not realize that they are protected by the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, religion, and disability, explained the retired professor. White people are protected in the same way that black people are protected by civil rights laws, she said, which is totally true. What they are pushing is unconstitutional teaching, is what they're teaching, what they're pushing. Quote, we're not a country where it's acceptable to bully and shame people because of the color of their skin. Such acts create a hostile environment at work or may cause psychological harm to children at school, the award-winning author explains, adding that parents have reported depression, trauma, or other problems in their children who have been told that because their whiteness or fact that their ancestors inflicted harm, they are also guilty of oppression. And by teaching black kids that they are oppressed, I think it is very detrimental to their mental health. Moreover, the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution guarantees certain protections to all people, even non-citizens. If a public institution such as a school tries to restrict people's speech or behavior, it may be also a First Amendment violation, Swain said. Private schools have more freedom to discriminate than public schools, but students whose rights are infringed can use other bases such as the student handbook that guarantees students certain rights to fight discrimination, she added. Swain suggested that students facing discrimination can also seek help from organizations defending student individual freedom of speech, association, and religious liberty, such as the Foundation of Individual Rights in Education, FIRE, or the Christian Legal Society. Another way to counter discrimination at schools is publicity, the professor advised. Students can write articles about discrimination cases and publish them in student media like the College Fix or Campus Reform, as there have been cases of universities backing down due to the public outcry over the reports of unfair treatment, according to Swain. So not only she's explaining that critical race theory is horrible, it's unconstitutional, it's totally against the Civil Rights Act, but she's also giving solutions. This is a great article. I'm definitely going to save this article and reference it in the future. All right, let's see. Let's see what time we got, because I got a session. All right. We're still here on Zero Hedge. GOP sees CRT battle as potential weapon in midterms. I agree. Fully vaccinated, we went over that one. Industry icons seeing housing hyperinflations, went over that one. China denounces U.S. naval warships transitioning Taiwan Strait. Journalists hit new low by betraying source. Wow, I thought that was like the number one rule in journalism is don't give up your sources, because once you start giving up your sources, people are gonna stop coming out and giving you information. Let's see what this is about. I mean, they've been fighting the government for years over not giving up sources. Now all of a sudden they're giving them up. The New York Times has decided it is fine to out a confidential source provided his name is Tucker Carlson. What? That don't sound right. Let's see what this is about. Its media columnist Ben Smith reports that the Fox News star is, quote, the go-to guy for sometimes flattering stories about Donald J. Trump and for coverage of the internal politics of Fox News. Not to mention stories about Carlson himself. I'm a little confused. Breaking the cardinal rule of journalistic ethics. Smith identifies Carlson as one of his own off-the-record sources. Oh, okay. So Tucker Carlson be talking off the record to his... Why did he trust these journalists, these other journalists, especially from the New York Times? You really think he's not gonna out you? Well, I blame Tucker Carlson for this one, for even trusting these mainstream media guys. But again, I think Tucker Carlson suffers from what the other Republicans suffer from, is they want to be with the in crowd. You know what I'm saying? I don't have that problem, so I don't care about none of that stuff. But some people do. So too did 16 other journalists who told me on background that he has been, as 3 of them put it, a great source. What information are he giving these journalists? It's weird. See, I try to warn people about Tucker Carlson when the whole what was that thing that happened at Fox News? I got to go back in my memory bank. When something popped off during the election and he backtracked on something, I can't remember what it was now. And I was like, wait a minute, y'all need to watch out for Tucker Carlson. Something ain't right. The Hunter Biden story, when he went back on that. Betraying no self-awareness of his cynicism. Smith underscores the transgressive nature of these disclosures by noting that none of the 16 work at the Times because, quote, it will put my colleagues in a weird position if I ask them to betray a source. Translation, he's happy to have his competitors violate sacred rules. I'm not going to read no more of this because Tucker Carlson should have known better than to trust these scummy journalists in the first place. So it's on him. I don't blame the journalists because these scumbag journalists gonna be scumbags. So Tucker Carlson should have known better. I blame him. Just the news. Biden administration is removing Rodney Scott from role of U.S. Border Patrol Chief. Yeah, that's the problem. Not that Kamala Harris is not even going to the border, or your policies of wide open borders. That's not the problem. It's the border patrol chief. Indiana University students compare COVID vaccine mandate to Tuskegee experiment in lawsuit. I've been saying that from the beginning. It hasn't been still haven't been approved by the FDA. It's still an experimental drug. The honeymoon is over for Biden as approval numbers drop, disapproval numbers spike. I thought they was inflated in the first place, but Democratic Socialists of America endorsed 6 candidates in Tuesday's New York. Excuse me. This has been a long day. Tuesday's New York City Council races. Let's see. Cruz. It took 92 days after being appointed border crisis czar for Harris to schedule a border visit. Wow, she's finally going to the border. She's finally going to the border. Woman placed on probation, marking first sentencing in connection with January 6th riot. I'm going to skip Daily Mail today because I'm limited on time. The Daily Caller exclusive whistleblower document appears to show Microsoft helped write big tech bills. Written by big tech. Do people really think that our politicians write these bills? No. Lobbyists write these bills. Majority of the time, they don't even read the bill or know what's in it. They have staffers make bullet points with, but they don't really know what's exactly in the bill most of the time. That's that's why when they asked Nancy Pelosi what was in the I think it was Obamacare bill, she was like, "Well, we'll tell you what's in it when we pass it." Like what? I was upset when she said that at first. I didn't understand why she said that at first, but looking back at it now, I know she said it because she didn't know what was in it because she didn't read it. Let's see. Supreme Court puts limit on police entering homes without a warrant. I thought it was already illegal. So what limit are they putting on it? I thought it was already unconstitutional for them to come into your house without a warrant. But let's see what this article says. All right. The Supreme Court ruled Wednesday. The Supreme Court ruled Wednesday on when and if police can enter the homes of suspects they are pursuing without a warrant, according to court documents. Oh, so they got. I guess they can when they're pursuing someone. Let's see. If a suspect enters a home and they are suspected of a misdemeanor, police cannot always enter the home without a warrant. The court ruled in Lang versus California, although the ruling does not provide definitive guidance about when they can enter a home when pursuing a misdemeanor. So if you say they chasing a subject, if they chasing a subject, then they can't, and they run into a house. What are they? They supposed to like knock on the door? Hey, can we come in? I don't get that one. Someone's fleeing. I thought, yeah, this makes no sense to me. The court ruled that a fleeing misdemeanor does not always qualify as an extended circumstance. That is kind of weird for me. To me, the flight of a suspect misdemeanor does not always justify a warrantless entry into a home. Justice Alina Keegan wrote in a majority opinion, an officer must consider all circumstances in a pursuit case to determine whether there is a law enforcement emergency. On many occasions, the officer will have good reason to enter to prevent imminent harm of violence, destruction of violence, or escape from the home. But when the officer has time to get a warrant, he must do so, even though the misdemeanor fled. That's very vague. Chief Justice Robert and Justice Samuel Alito said they believe a suspect choice to flee in itself should give police the ability to go after them into a home, according to a ruling. I mean, I would agree with that. It's if you literally chasing a suspect and they run into a house, are you supposed to wait for them to get you supposed to wait and call and get a warrant? That is kind of weird to me. Let's see. Still on just the news. No, we're on Daily Caller. Exclusive whistleblower documents appear to show Microsoft. We went over that one. Pathetic. Gerardo Rivera and Dana Perino pan Biden gun violence speech that sounds like reading back somebody's fast food order. I don't get it. Totally reactive to the bad press. So you scramble to get something done. Indiana grandma sentenced to no jail time for role in insurrection. Analysis. A progressive DA gave activists what they wanted. Just 3 months later, he's facing recall efforts. Awesome. Recall him. You want to lock nobody up for destroying these cities? You got to go, DA. All right, let's see. Let's go with The Hill. Biden get 56% approval rating in Fox News poll. That's a lot higher than expected. Britney Spears asking judge to end abusive conservatorship. Britney Spears eviscerated her more than decade-long conservatorship and scorching remarks to judge. Let's see. White House says family won't resign from beach club. Of course not. I mean, these people are the racists, just like I said. That's why it's okay to be in an all-white beach club that prohibits black people from joining. It's okay if you got a D next to your name. See, Sheldon Whitehouse got a D next to his name, so you got that D next to your name. You can be a racist white man. It's okay, as long as you got that D next to your name. Rick Scott blocks Senate vote on top cyber nominee until Harris visits border. Biden nominates Cindy McCain as ambassador to UN Food Agency. Of course, she would get an ambassadorship. John McAfee dies by apparent suicide. We talked about that one. Joint Chiefs Chairman clashes with GOP on race theory. White rage. We went over that one. We played the video of him saying ignorant stuff. Let's see. McCarthy dismisses House Democrat tech antitrust bill. Where's Beto O'Rourke? White House says Biden is his own gun czar. White House to drop effort to federalize elections in favor of state approach. That's pretty big. House funding bill would hike capital spending and remove racist statues. Kamala Harris will visit southern border. We talked about that. Top Democrat on big spending. We cannot go back to pre-pandemic normal. Wow. So just spend us into oblivion. Biden calls on U.S. to come together as one nation during remarks at Republican Senator funeral. Migrants returned to Mexico under Trump will get another chance to have asylum. Pentagon linguist who passed secrets to Hezbollah sentenced to 23 years in prison. New Florida law penalizes publishers for not removing mugshots on demand. Parsons calls a special session to extend Medicaid funding. Oath Keepers affiliate plead guilty to conspiracy and Capitol riot. Murphy signs bill allocated $235 million more for New Jersey businesses and nonprofits. Microchip shortage drives car prices up. And its microchip shortages is making everything go up. It's making computers go up. Everything is going up that has microchips. Hunter Biden holds stake in Chinese firm that invested in companies sanctioned by U.S. We talked about that. All right, let's see. Daily Wire. California lawmakers finalizing Newsom-backed plan to pay off overdue rent for eligible tenants. Biden ripped for threatening to nuke law-abiding American citizens. He literally recording NRA ads. Yeah. He like, we got F-16s, F-15s. He said 15s and 16s. Biden to Americans who own guns to defend against tyranny. You need jets, nuclear weapons to take us on. I mean, come on. Leaked. Hillary Clinton warned about Wuhan biological weapons in 2009 report says. Wow. That's crazy. What Michael knows reading these days. Leftists lose it after woke Coca-Cola accidentally blocks phrase Black Lives Matter from custom label maker. Oh wow. Fight the left, get in shape. Let's see, Epoch Times. Arvine halt plans for veteran cemetery. Pedestrian bridge collapse over DC highway, injuring 5. This is what happened when infrastructure is not being taken care of. Puppies abandoned in Texas desert. Seek homes. NTD Evening News full broadcast. Students sue Indiana University for COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Rightfully so. That you can't go to school because you didn't take an experimental jab. Interior Secretary, no plan right now to permanently ban new oil, gas leasing. They already got rid of the Keystone Pipeline, so. Letter to California Secretary of State demands answers to 2020 election irregularities. Not going to get any answers. All right, Breitbart, Joe Biden again urges Senate to confirm David Chipman as head of AFT. Dem Senator Menendez calls for democracy exception for on filibuster. Yeah, right. They are really trying to get rid of that filibuster. But it was all good. They loved it when Trump was in office. Ted Cruz torches a Biden administration as Kamala Harris announces first southern border. We talked about that. President Biden's Second Amendment had limits. I'm tired of hearing that dumb talking point. Report Hunter Biden linked firm invested in Chinese companies hit by U.S. sanctions. China cuts deal with Hilton to build hotel over bulldoze Olger Moss. Minnesota mother, anti-racism actually teaches children how to be racist. Exactly. Alright, Federalists, we talked about Britney Spears. White House rewrite history would claim that Republicans, not Democrats, tried to defund the police. Wow. They trying to say that Republicans are trying to defund the police. Wow. This is crazy. White House rewrites history with claim that Republicans, not Democrats, tried to defund the police. Unfortunately for White House staff, the rest of the country isn't as amnesic as their boss man Joe Biden, which is why when Press Secretary Jen Psaki on Wednesday tried to pretend it was actually Republicans, not Democrats, who attempted to defund the police, it was easy to call it hogwash. The pants on fire moment came in response to a question from Fox News White House correspondent Peter Doocy, who asked about Biden's new comprehensive strategy to combat violent crime and gun violence that include, quote, a whole of government approach to hamper the flow of firearms, provide federal support for local law enforcement, and expand summer programming and job opportunities for young people. Is the idea that criminals are going to stop committing crimes if they have a summer job? Ducey wanted to know. Psaki response gets a handful of Pinocchio. Part of Biden's announcement is also ensuring that there's a specific guidance to communities across the country to ensure that they have funding to get more community police around the country. Something that was supported by the American Jobs Plan that was voted into law by Democrats just a couple of months ago. Some might say that the other party was for defunding the police. I'll let others say that, but that's not. But that's a piece. Oh my gosh. The press secretary winked and nod with her. Some might say language was a clever attempt to put distance between herself and her own claims, but Psaki suggested was clear. Republicans were for defunding the police. I can't believe she made that statement. That's just too much. All right, let's see. I think we're still on Breitbart. Yep. Let's see. Ted Cruz tortures Biden administration. Oh, we went over that. Biden said Second Amendment had limits from day one. Report Hunter Biden went over that. China cuts deal with Hilton went over that. Minnesota mother. Oh, we're at WorldNet Daily. Biden pushes gun control to prevent crime. Google official admits censoring COVID lab leak theory. Yep, we knew that. House panel to call Fauci as witness in COVID origins probe. Good. But you're not going to get anything out of him. He's arrogant, snobby, and he said he is science. So I guess whatever he says is like gospel. House panel to call Fauci. Lives are at stake. Oxford to study. What is that? Ivermectin treatment for COVID-19. I don't even know what that is. Carol Swain, we went over that. What do doctors really think about the COVID jab? The worst fake news. Google News. I would agree. Even though I think I have a feed to the Google News link, but I take it with a grain of salt. Free Beacon, watchdog flag, ongoing ethics violation by Florida Democrat. Issa slams bipartisan big tech package for ignoring censorship. Yeah, but you probably gonna sign for it anyways. Pentagon staffer sentenced for passing information to Hezbollah. Biden targets guns, blames pandemic for homicide crisis. Went over that. Cussing cheerleader prevails in student speech dispute at Supreme Court. Report Biden suffers awkward dementia scare in meeting with Democrat lawmaker. Let's see. Is there a video or something on that? Give it a couple more minutes. And I gotta get ready to log off. President Joe Biden appeared to exhibit symptoms commonly associated with dementia during a recent meeting with the Democratic congressman. Let's play the video.
He's been studying for weeks, working up to today.
Harassing the full potential of those who are harassing. I know you all know, but a lot of people may not know what COVID is.
And what are your plans?
120 days. Give me a break. The proof is in the pudding's in eating. In Libya, we should be opening up the for example, in Libya, of Libya. Sorry, I'm going to get in trouble with staff if I don't do this the right way. Jennifer Jacob, Bloomberg. The answer is...
I want to see what they were talking about, though. I want to see when they were talking about Rep. Mondaire Jones told the Associated Press he was perplexed by Biden's response to his suggestion that the president became more involved in the party's effort to pass so-called voter right legislation. Jones said he approached Biden last week at the White House while attending a signing ceremony for a Republican-backed proclamation making Juneteenth a federal holiday. The president, quote, just sort of stared at me, Jones said, noting the awkward silence that followed. The Mayo Clinic website lists difficulty communicating or finding words among the common signs of dementia, along with confusion and disorientation. An elderly person suffering from cognitive decline may also experience difficulty handling complex tasks, such as railing a political party to support so-called voter rights. So he just gave him a stare. That is definitely a symptom or a sign of dementia. Let's see. Maybe I got time to do one more headline. Daily, Fox News. Let's do New York Post. Psychic Paula Roberts says she heard the spirits call. Sure you did. Britney Spears didn't believe Paris Hilton boarding school abuse claims. 7 shows like Downton Abbey. Are cosmic black holes racist? 7 shows like none of this stuff is interesting to me here. Let's see. Yeah, I think let's see Daily Signal. We'll see Daily Signal before we call it. Florida makes sure schools teach evils of communism, totalitarianism. 4 keys to understand how illegal immigrants fly to new homes in America. Supreme Court protects property rights against union trespass. Why parents are in court over online portal where students anonymously accuse each other. Yeah, I think that's it today. Here's the Google News feed I was telling you about. I really don't trust it too much, but it is good to see what the other side is talking about. Well, let me know what you think. Sorry I got to keep it short today, but I got another session going on. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to support us, you can go to PayPal, DEMOCREPUBLIX, or you can go to Cash App and support us there, under JSite. Or you can go to DEMOCREPUBLIX.com and click the donate button. And check out for the DEMOCREPUBLIX.com for the latest in news. Until next time.